Well, Professor Gachi, are you still on stream? I think that he's gone. Okay. Right. But we've launched, as a country, I'm talking about you and I, our government, we've launched what we call the rental assistance scheme. And I see you're laughing. What's the scheme about?
Housing has been an issue with us for a while.
Okay, wait, let's take an insert from Dr. Baumia, and then we'll come back. So, Dr. Baumia, the insert is ready. Let's listen to him, and then we'll come to Hussein Issa.
To the private sector, you are inevitably going to have no political interference, because if they give a loan to somebody who is not eligible, they will lose money. And so if somebody comes to tell you that I am this party or that party, so give me a loan and I don't qualify, they will be essentially hurting themselves if they provide that loan to somebody who cannot repay the loan.
He also emphasized on the new rent bill, which is currently before Parliament.
The current act was passed by Parliament 59 years ago, and therefore its relevance has been outlived by the current population growth, urbanization, housing availability, and general trends.
Okay, so we had that short insight. Mr. Hussein, can you expatiate on what the Vice President was saying?
Essentially, like I was saying earlier, housing has been a huge challenge for us. If you look at the housing and population census, quite a significant portion of our population actually live in housing units that are not acceptable, that are not. So it is government's role to ensure that we improve upon the housing state of the people. Like the Vice President was just saying, there is a rent bill in Parliament, but some of these processes, it will take quite a bit of time. And what the government is thinking is that, at least for now, let's try to provide safe and affordable accommodation to basically the young people of this country. So this scheme is supposed to help resolve some of the bottlenecks in the housing market. And principally, we are talking about a situation where you have to have saved up to about 2 years rent before you're able to get a decent accommodation unit in any of our urban areas in Ghana. What this scheme looks to is to be able to sort of cushion the process of having to come up with this 2 years rent. In fact, the process is such that this private sector player who is doing this in tandem with the Ministry of Works and Housing, the rent control people and all of that, what they tend to do is that when you have identified a housing unit, they will come and based on your qualification, and it could be either you, the individual, applying to them for the service, or it could also be an eligible employer applying holistically for all employees who work with the employer who qualify to take up the scheme. So the scheme is going to come up with the advance for the rental unit, and then you, the occupant of the property, you are able to do your monthly payment. In fact, globally, the accepted or the typical level of your income that should go into rental units about 30%. And so all of this has been taken into consideration. If you are an identified person, if you are somebody who is employed and earning income, which could be deducted at source. So some of these bottlenecks are being
the funding money or the seed capital is coming from the private sector?
No, government is putting up the seed capital.
The 30 million?
The 30 million to ensure that this whole scheme takes place. And so when you have identified housing unit, they will come up with the advance payment, and then you are able to spread it over the 2 years. I mean,
so if it's 2 years, for example, for me,
yeah,
and I do the application, if I qualify based on the criteria and if I meet it, they'll expend the 2 million for me. The 2 years, if that is what the landlord is asking for.
Yeah, we could use figures. If you're paying 1,000 cedis for 2 years, you have to come up with 24,000, and so they will come up with 24,000, and then you will have to be paying 1,000 cedis every month to them. So that's
that you don't provide the bulk.
So then you don't have to go look for the 24,000.
Makes sense.
To be
Lots
able
of sense.
to do this. And those are also the social interventions government is bringing out just to ensure that the people are cushioned from all of these challenges we are going to go through, or we are going through as a nation. So it is a laudable idea, and there are criteria. There are criteria. I mean, your source of income has to be verifiable, and verifiable to the extent that you have to show your ID. Your Ghana card ID has all the information that makes you traceable. I mean, it's obviously they have to go verify the
Charlie,
unit,
this is good. I have to agree. This is good.
And then also your source of income will have to be verified.
Now let's go to the site. We'll experiment.
Okay. All right.
Because I see Clementa Park is not happy with the new initiative. So let's go to the site and let's experiment. So there's a calculator on the site.
Okay.
Now, when you go to the calculator on the site,
what the calculator aims at doing, if you mind, is that you see.
So give us a figure. We'll put it there.
Let's say my income.
It has to be reasonable.
If my income in a month is 2,000.
Okay. So put 2,000 there.
And I'm going to rent an accommodation that is 1,500. Obviously, I can use 75% of my income. That's where I mentioned the 30% or so. But it's not the only criteria.
Okay. So let's say 500.
You are scored. You are going to be scored.
So the rent is 500. But can we get decent rent 500 today?
Depends on the area you want to live in, and the sort of unit you want.
Harriet, which rent will cost you 500? Which area?
Single room. That's a single room.
Which area?
But if you have just left
even
investing,
Dodo.
If you have just left investing at the time, I mean,
Adenta, okay.
Come on, Chief.
No.
When I came to Lagos, you were, and I know you were.
Like we're being practical here.
Yes, when I came to Lagos, you were. No. We've been practical.
No, you are disturbing the movement.
The movement of the calculator.
So let's say 2 years. So Fuzeni, you say your people will pay. Eh? This is where you work now. Is that where you work now?
No, I don't work there.
Oh, you don't work there. All right.
Roland.
Yes, please. Okay, so the rental period is 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen watching us at home, please watch this thing. I think it makes a lot of sense. So the rental period is 2 years. That is and this is based on a rent of 500 Ghana cedis. And we had inputted a net income of 2,000 Ghana cedis. So you are earning 2,000 Ghana cedis, and logically, you don't have to spend more than you earn. I mean, so at least, if you earn 2,000 Ghana cedis, and you're not doing any, let's say you're not doing any so 2,000 Ghana cedis strictly. So hypothetically, 500 Ghana cedi rent. And this is what, so your expected monthly rent payments, after they have paid the initial deposit for you.
Yeah.
So they are paying all the 2 years for you.
For the 2 years, yeah.
Okay. Is that, so you are paying 620.
So that means there is an increase.
That's 120 on each 500.
That means
that's very
interest.
simple.
Yeah.
But that is
there's an interest to be paid.
That's a market condition for a private
condition.
This
is an initiative.
So
I think people.
But I thought you said the 30 million.
No, don't worry. We'll
was,
come for you to criticize.
Government.
Relax. Let's finish with this thing.
That's seed funding.
Right now, no, you're punching that. You wait.
No, I'm not punching. I'm only asking
That is
questions.
seed funding.
Fuseni, relax. So explain the thing that's on the TV for us. So now, refundable security deposit. Oh, what does it mean?
That security deposit, for what I glean is that I mean anywhere else, when you go to rent a property, the landlord will want to make sure that at the end of the tenancy, you leave the rental accommodation just as you met it. So if there had been any structural defects, then they are going to rely on the deposits to ensure that it is fixed. If there are no defects, then you get your deposit, and that's about a 2 months rental just for the deposits, and that is what is done everywhere else that I have lived and rented accommodation outside of Ghana. I mean, it's like that. So that's what the security deposit is about.
So averagely, you're paying about 21-22% or even 25% on it.
I mean, this is
monthly.
This is also to ensure that it's a private sort of arrangement.
It's a partnership, PPE, sort of.
It's a business.
It is not a business.
It's a business.
It's a social intervention.
It's a social intervention because.
Let me come to you.
No, it's a business.
What is the alternative? The alternative is that you probably have to.
The alternative is nothing.
You have to probably go to a bank to
get a bulk sum.
To get a bulk sum. And how much is the bank going to
the national rental scheme.
How much is the bank going to charge you if you have to take 24,000 from the bank?
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing. But I'm saying it's a business. It's a business. The man is a private investor. The government is giving
the opportunity,
seed money.
But this is good.
He is going to make some money out of this. So it is a business. But what I wanted to know is
what do you mean by it's a business?
It's a business.
Let me just clarify.
Social intervention program.
Just clarity.
No.
A social intervention
Today
program.
you've been interjecting. You haven't been nice. Is there a strategy? Is there a new strategy? Today you disrupted. No. This is not about you and APAC. People are listening. They want to
talk
some.
Look, I have already said this is a good scheme.
He's behaving badly.
People will go for it.
You are behaving badly. You are behaving badly.
Please.
You know, I'll tell you this.
So what's the point?
The point I'm making is that, yes, we agree that when it comes to housing and accommodation, we have a challenge. And the challenge is not just about ability to pay, although that is a factor. I mean, quite recently, with all the conditions going on, we've seen how young men and women, new graduates, new families are struggling to be able to meet even their current rent obligations. And indeed, if you check the market, rents have been increased, rightly so. Landlords are increasing their rent. But you see, what I am saying is that this program is not a social intervention.
What is it?
It's not a social intervention.
Why is it not a social intervention? Convince me why it is.
It is a private businessman.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I'm a young man.
Wait. Who is partnering with government?
What is wrong with
right? And government is giving seed money. If you tell me that it's a social intervention program, I disagree because it is not being done at a zero cost. There's cost involved. So you can't tell me that this is a social program. Yes, you are being helped to get the bulk amount to pay for a 2-year advance, which otherwise, based on your own salary, and I dare say that with the current levels of dizzying levels of inflation, even the salary itself now doesn't even have the gravitas it has to be able to meet your basic needs. But even so, the service is not being provided to you at zero cost. You are going to pay a fee. So it is a business. Admit that.
No,
how do you tell me that that's a social intervention?
Roland will say I'm being distracted.
How do you call this a social intervention program?
Why is it not a social intervention?
It's not.
It is otherwise.
It's not a social intervention program. It clearly cannot be defined as a social intervention.
What was your expectation?
Well, the way I understood it to be before I saw what has been unveiled, and I'm here to find out where the government got the seed money and whether the seed money is being given at zero interest to the private investor who clearly stands to profit from this whole enterprise. I thought, like other social intervention programs, the government was going to set up the scheme, and those who qualified based on the criteria would apply at zero cost to support them. Because you already agree that this is supposed to help ameliorate or reduce the cost involved in finding private accommodation.
Okay, so
but it's turning out that there's going to be a fee involved.
So let me ask
Roland.
you. No. Per the calculation I did on 2,000 Ghana cedis being the net income, the monthly payment of the rental being 500 Ghana cedis, you have 124%.
That's 2,400.
Okay. All right. So that's the percentage you have. or 124 as it is. So at the end of the day, you take a look at what you have, what you have,
I'm listening.
and then you take your position as a 2,000 Ghana cedi earner who is supposed to raise 24,000 or whatever it is you're supposed to raise.
For 2 years.
Bulk, yes, for 2 years.
That's correct.
They'll come to you, the MP. If he too was MP, you say you don't have money. You will come and sit on TV and say that all the constituents want money. Do you understand?
They will come anyway.
So no.
It's not just even about rent.
Let's be practical here. And I take my 2,000 Ghana cedis. I'll deduct 620 from it. I'm left with my 1,380. So I'll use maybe 300 for maybe some transport. Because this 500 definitely, where you're going to stay, Ashayama, Adenta back there, that'll be, even that place, it depends.
Roland, I'm not arguing with your analysis. What I'm saying is that this does not fit the mold of
So what were you expecting? It should have been,
we know social intervention programs in this country. By the definition of your own government. By the definition of your own government.
So it's 24% increment, but it's okay.
That is what I'm saying.
So you are saying it should have been
reasonable. I am saying that you cannot define it as social intervention program.
All right, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
He says that it cannot.
Scheme is a social intervention. Don't you pay subscription to be able to be eligible to enjoy it?
But how much?
How much saying? His thinking is that it has to be at a zero cost. And I'm saying that even for the NHIS, you have to subscribe to it. But it is cheaper. It is a social intervention because otherwise it would have been more expensive. That is where the government is cushioning you. And the cushioning that you are getting from the government, it's where the social intervention bit comes in there.
The policy initiative.
It is still a social intervention.
All right.
Anyway,
okay,
so I want to surprise that to you because when it comes to social intervention, it's something you always run away from. It is something you always run away from.
Mr. Issa, let me ask you a question. Today you are going amok.
I am not.
He's running
I think it's a strategy.
I am not. He knows. But we've been on this program.
So
he doesn't want me to speak about issues.
So why?
Yes.
So why is it that the interest rate is that high? Let's say we just did the permutations on a salary or a net salary of 2.
It is a case of look at the macro record. If you had gone to the bank, what would have been the alternative? How much would the bank have been? How much would you have gotten from the bank?
Well, you would have gotten in excess of 30%.
So there is still some subsidization on there. So it's a case, and remember, we are
and
still
even
running.
Collateral and things,
collateral and the complications.
Getting
hard. And remember this, we are running this on a pilot basis, at least for now, covering about 6 regions or so. And ultimately we are going to get into other regions. So it is
because it's a government intervention.
Yeah.
Couldn't the interest have been reduced, the rates?
I am like the vice president said, there's the private investor also has a skin in there. Government is only giving a seed money. Only a seed money. The private investor at a certain stage, the private investor will have to go to the commercial market and get funding at commercial terms to be able to fund this thing. So it is not a case of government not being sensitive and putting some. No, it's to ensure that this scheme it's actually sustained over time.
Yeah.
Well, but the point I'm trying to make is that we are talking about housing.
And even before you don't want to.
No, it's my turn. It's my turn. I won't let you eat into my time.
Please land. We have to go for a break.
The point I'm making is that in all of this, do we have sufficient housing units in this country to make this functional as we think? Would it not also be prudent for us to go ahead and complete investments that the state has made in the area of housing, like settlement and others, so that more young people can have access to affordable housing?
In fact, if I had excess money, knowing the scheme is in place, I would go take my money and build as a private person because I know that I will get
Are you going for the seat again?
I've answered so many times, yes.
I haven't asked you before.
You have.
No.
You have.
No, maybe on the private side.
You have.
Maybe it's ringing in your mind, it's on the private side.
No, you have.
The seat you occupied is
Okankwe North.
Okankwe North. Is that
Occupied by Teresa
winning?
Winning. Obana.
Okay.
Yes.
Obana. Don't waste your time
So
and
you
energy.
go again.
Yes.
Save your bond, your
Right.
coupon
And then
interest.
Busa
Save it.
South Member of Parliament
Of
is
course.
Dr. Clement Apap.
You know it's automatic that I'll run for re-election.
Thank you. Thank you for passing through the two
Because my
gentlemen.
people
Please
like
make
me.
sure you stick and stay. And always add the hashtag as you go search for us across TV3 Ghana on social media. And TV3Newday is always available. We're taking a break. When we come back, you can go to that site. We're talking about the rental scheme site and get the latest on the subject.